Pokemon. Probably one of the largest and most recognizable brands in the world, having decades worth of anime, games, world building, characters, and at the center of the company, Pokemon. And if you're familiar with this account, you would know I'm quite fond of Pokemon. But in those videos, I went over the top 10, emphasis on top 10, which made me think, man, everyone could do a top 10. Those are easy. You know what isn't easy though? And is a clear sign of unemployment? Going over all 1,025 Pokemon and ranking all 18 types in order from least bad to most bad. You may now be thinking, wait, how does someone even rank how bad a Pokemon is? Great question, dear viewer, and I think this question could be answered perfectly by a member of Team Aqua. Hey Archie, arrgh! On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad would you say Shelly is? 34. Yeah, I'm gonna be using the numbers from the After Dark website in order to rank how bad these Pokemon are. And before some of y'all ask why I didn't use 621, A, I'm not a furry, and B, I couldn't find exact numbers easily, so I gave up. Ironically though, finding the numbers was the easiest part. Filling out over 8,000 of them though, had me looking in the mirror like,
Alan, we are so
but thanks to the help of my lovely Discord, I was able to employ free labor, just like my red, white, and blue god intended. Only about 5 of the people here helped though. The rest of them were freeloaders. But boom, all done. And it only took us an hour and a half. That's an hour and a half they could have spent with their loved ones. But instead, they were helping me look up numbers for fictional characters, even the unsavory ones. But now that the heavy lifting is done, let's lay out the ground rules. Firstly, I'll be excluding megas and regional variants, cause if you look up Ninetales, you'll find a lowland Ninetales, and if you look up Gardevoir, you'll see Mega Gardevoir. There also won't be any type changers, so the Rotom variants, Arceus variant, Silvally, etc. And before you ask, yes, I thought about the dual types. There were 3 ways I could have went about doing them. A, I would only count their primary type, which didn't seem right cuz without my mom, I wouldn't be considered a light skin. B, I could split the numbers 50-50 between the types, which, I'm not a nerd, that's a whole lot of extra math. And C, which is what I decided to go with. Just toss the numbers in for both types, which, I will say, doesn't technically make the math wrong, but it was the equivalent of adding LeBron, the GOAT, to the worst basketball teams of all time. They probably won't win, but they sure as hell aren't coming in last place. This will make sense later. But with all that intro out of the way, let's get to ranking these types. Coming in 18th place and being the competitively worst type in the game, according to Wolfie, my beloved, we have the bug typing with just below 14,000 pictures. It's honestly no surprise that they ended up here, considering how IRL, I'm seeing a bug type. The only logical response is to suggest the typing does have some of the coolest and cutest designs though. Golisopod, Scizor, Snom, and Surskit, just to name a few. But just because you're cool and cute doesn't mean people are trying to get freaky. Well, most of the time. I'm a firm believer though that if Pokemon made a moth girl Pokemon, it would have been an easy sweep. The 2 main heavy hitters that did carry the typing though are Pheromosa, which, come on, you know why, and Scolipede, like, what? The bug horse? Leavanny, another anthro bug, had the 3rd most for the typing, with 3,000 less. But still, the bug horse, dude? Bug type is also the type holding the record for the 2 lowest numbers out of all Pokemon, being Tarantula and Rellor, both having 1 pick. Tarantula makes sense cause it's an adorable new gen spider, whilst Rellor looks like a certain group I shouldn't say out loud. But if I make a joke, you'll get it immediately.
Yo, somebody get the door!
In the 17th spot, we have the typing that'll have a lot of you Brock hard. Pun intended. Get it? Brock hard? Yeah, it's the rock type, with roughly 18,800 photos. Fun fact, did you know that Brock was 15 years old in the anime? I know, right? He acted so mature that I dead thought he was a grown-ass man, which, looking back, makes it weirder cause, what's this grown man doing traveling the world with 2 kids? He did have hella game though, so he's still my GOAT. Back to Pokemon. Being another buns typing competitively, since it's weak to 5 fairly common types, this typing is absolutely carried by a furry, that furry being Lycanroc. having roughly 8,700 photos across all 3 forms, the most popular being the emo one, but I just combined them all. The runner-up is in a close second, being Agron with 1,300. I'm assuming you guys are realizing now that furries will be dominating this list. The 2 lowest rock types though are Knucklestack with 2 and Roly-Coly with 3. Yep, a pile of coal and a cube of salt. How does that make you feel? In 16th, we have arguably the coolest Pokemon typing with the 3rd least amount of Pokemon, Ghost types. The Ghost type doesn't really have any solid carries like Rock did with Lycanroc, being more evenly spread across with its 23,728 photos. They do have one of the baddest trainers, being Hexmaniac though, cuz goddamn! Ladies, if there are any watching this, please cosplay Hexmaniac, and my life is yours. Gengar does have the most for the typing though, with around 4,300. I said it was evenly spread though cuz around 8 Pokemon have over 1,000 individually, those being Haunter, Banette, Mismagius, Giratina, my beloved, Mimikyu, Decidueye, Rotom, and Sableye. The Pokemon with the lowest for Ghost though is Bramblin with 2 photos. Yeah, the Tumbleweed. I'm pretty sure I can show this cuz it's nothing crazy, but like, if there's a will, there's a way, I guess. Let's move on to the type that gave a lot of kids PTSD growing up. Ground types are in our number 15 spot with about 20 more than Ghosts, having 23,751 photos. All of ground type's heavy hitters are all Pokemon that have been around for the better part of 15 years, with the star of the show being used by the most popular snow bunny in the series, Garchomp, the destroyer of worlds. It has been well documented by me that you don't really need to be attractive to have a high number, you just need to be iconic, which is what Cynthia's Garchomp was. If you were young when Diamond and Pearl first released and wanted to know what it's like to be in prison with a fat butt, Garchomp was there just for you. Sweeping your whole team, spitting on you, giving you a swirly, and probably like sliming your firstborn. Sorry, I got a bit off track. This piano just haunts me though. Garchomp and Flygon have the highest for the typing though, with 3,702 and 2,465 respectively. The lowest ground type though is Iron Tread with 2. You will start to notice that all the lowest ones are usually Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet. Next up though is the typing that'll hit Garchomp with the meanest Chris Brown combo. At 14th place, we have the coldest type on the list, with the baddest mommy on the list. Go watch my video. Ice types, with 25,160. Now, it's been a bit since we had an absolute carry. That carry being Glaceon, with almost 14,000 photos, having almost as many as all of the bug type combined. This should also let you know that all the types with evolutions going forward will be also carried. The second highest though, Weavile with 3,600. The lowest ice type though is going to be Arctobax with 1. There isn't a whole lot to say about ice types, mainly because they've never really been the most popular type ever. But ice types will be our final type that I will be considering low tier, because there's a 13,000 jump between this and the next type. That next one being poison types, taking the number 13 spot with roughly 38,839 photos. Competitively, they're one of the more middle ground types since they're only super effective against 2 types while also being weak to 2 types. But those are just some fun facts before I get down bad. The most popular poison type though is probably one of the most understandable in the series, that being Salazzle with 4,721 picks. Like, come on man, Game Freak knew exactly what they were doing with this one, dog. Like, look at these gender rates, 100% female? Oh great heavens! The info about her is even crazier though, because apparently this Pokemon's dynamic with Salandits is that she has them for like a reverse harem, and they're supposed to serve her and bring her food, and if they don't, she gives them fiery slaps. Which, like, dude, that's so weird. Who would ever even want that? The other highest poison types are ones we've previously mentioned, but they're Gengar and Scolipede again. Poison also has a lot of Pokemon, with well over 8,000, having 8 as well. Those being Toxtricity, Roserade, Arbok, Salandit, because they usually involve Salazzle, Haunter, Nidoking, Nidoqueen, and Bulbasaur. The lowest poison type though is another Gen 9er, being Varoom, the car thing, with 2 photos. Yeah, time to talk about birds. In 12th place, we have the airborne Pokemon, those being flying types, with a little over 40,700. The funniest part about this typing though, besides the fact that people aren't really huge into bird furries, is that about half of that 40,000 is owned by 2 dual types that aren't even birds. They're like dragons, those being Charizard and Lugia, having 13,000 and 7.2 thousand respectively. If you remember that iconic thing I said before, this is what I meant. Cause please tell me what the appeal is for these 2 Pokemon. And don't mention Zonk Punch, some elite ball right there, I'm not gonna hold you. Flying types are also this high up, solely because of numbers advantage, considering there are 108 flying type Pokemon. What's even crazier is that when sorting from highest to lowest, you have to go down roughly 6 flying types before getting to 2 that resemble birds, those being Articuno and Ho-Oh, with roughly 500 each. Those other 6 were also dragons, by the way. Salamence, Rayquaza, Yveltal, Emolga for some reason, Noivern, and Dragonite. The flying types with the lowest numbers though are Iron Jugulis with 4 picks and Volibee with 5. On the topic of dragons though, that's our next type. Emperors. Dragon types are going to be at the number 11 spot with roughly 43,700 pieces of art. I'm pretty sure they're the first typing on this list that doesn't have any major carries like the ice type did with Glaceon. But they do have a decent amount of Pokemon that are pretty chunky. The top 2, which are, in my personal top 5, some of the most underrated picks when talking about baddest Pokemon, Goodra and Reshiram. Goodra with 7.5 thousand and Reshiram with roughly 4,200. They're honestly such sleeper picks cause everyone is always talking about Lopunny and Gardevoir, but majority of Goodra's art just makes her extra thin. And the Reshiram art makes her look like a soft dummy mommy who has, keep in mind, literal chokers. And I don't have mommy issues at all on this account. Keep an eye out for the next video though. But even still, the Dragon type has a lot of previously mentioned heavy hitters. Latias, Garchomp, Dragonite, Flygon, Latios, and like Noivern, just to name a few. And those are all ones with around 2,000 each. The lowest one? Well, it's our little ice boy from before, Arctobax, with 1 again. But now it's time to talk about the type that the LeBron joke was used for. Steel types getting us to our number 10 spot with well over 45,256 photos. See, the term carried hardly even describes his situation because this Pokemon makes up 75% of the typing's numbers, meaning that without them, they'd be below Bug with roughly 12,000 photos. That's right, Steel type made it to the number 10 spot solely because of Lucario with 33,420 pieces. Want to know who has the second highest on Steel types? Mawile with 2.4k. Lucario has quite literally always been a fan favorite though, ever since he was released, which is ironic cause he's also the Pokemon Company's purest form of furry bait outside of Lopunny. Doesn't matter the gender either cause even though his gender rates are 87.5% male, that won't stop the art from having just as much Lucariese as it would Lucariak. Granted, saying your favorite Pokemon is Lucario can be interpreted in two ways, depending on what subreddit you're on. We do have another dupe for the lowest though, since it's gonna be Varoom again with 2. Since Steel types got us into the top 10, whilst also being our final mid-tier, now it's time for the high-tier types, since we have another 20,000 jump with grass types, not to be confused with the Devil's Grass types, most common with the rapper Snoop Dogg. Get it, guys? Is 420 still hip with the kids? Dude, I'm 23, it's over for me. Is in our number 9 spot with 62,886 pieces. Grass types have always been one of the more iconic typings in Pokemon, being one of the main 3 you start with, whilst also making up 13% of the total Pokemon roster. Art-wise, they don't have any major carries like the other types previously mentioned. The 3 largest Pokemon being Leafeon with 7,750, Meowscarada with roughly 300 less, and Snivy with 6,100. It is funny though how Meowscarada got to this number in only 3 years, but considering your options for starters were a Mexican crocodile, a gay duck, and a fursona, I'd probably go with the furry too. Guess who our lowest grass type is though? You guessed it, and I get to show this art again. It's Bramblin with a total of 2 art pieces. What's crazy though is how you'll look up a tumbleweed Pokemon and find 2 results, but when you look up my name, I have nothing. Society. Now it's time for me to make the joke that everyone expects when talking about water types. Hey guys, did you know that in terms of male, human, and female Pokemon breed— Shut the fuck up! Yeah, Water types are in the number 8 spot, with a little over 68,000 photos. They're also the most common Pokemon type, having 155. You already know who the Pokemon with the most is. It's the cat, with 15,500 pieces of art, being the 8th most drawn Pokemon of all time. Wanna know who the 2 runners-up are? Weasel and Greninja, with 3K each. The lowest is gonna be Barraskewda, so a new face for once. I don't have much of anything else to say about water types. They literally been deduced to Vaporeon jokes, so let's keep it pushing. Oh yeah, Nessa, my beautiful ebony queen! In 7th place, we have Hassan Piker's favorite Pokemon type, electric types. Bit weird though, cuz I forgot when his dog became a water type. Electric types are at our number 7 spot, with about 500 more pieces than water types, while also having the 4th lowest amount of Pokemon, having only 75, which just shows you that quality will always beat quantity. Too bad the quality in question is f***ing Pikachu! Yeah, I kinda tweaked out in my baddest Pokemon video, but I'ma do it again. The mascot of the Pokemon Company. The adorable little yellow rat Pokemon that we've effectively grown up with over the generations has the 5th most art of all Pokemon, with well over 17,000 pieces. Pika Libre though? Shit. And don't forget about the Fox Cat, cause Jolteon's in 2nd with 7.6 thousand. Granted, the electric type does have some slept on ball, like Luxray and Zoroark, cause a lot of the fan art be going absolutely insane. Would much rather have them be at the top over like Toaster Rat. I call him that cause whenever I think of Pikachu, I just think of this one meme. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Little fun fact for the lowest electric type though, after whatever that just was. Electric type's lowest Pokemon has the highest number out of all the lowest types, having 8 pieces. Too bad it's Tadbulb. But worry not, Pookies, cause in 6th place, we have the most recent typing that is absolutely carried by 2 Pokemon. That being fairy types, with roughly 74,500 photos. First one being the Evolution Sylveon, with 15,000 photos, having more art than every bug type combined. And second is the definitive baddest Pokemon of all time, Gardevoir, who in the span of 23 years has amassed over 34,000 art pieces, which isn't all too crazy cause like, this Pokemon is literally just a woman. Make her shiny, now she's an alt woman. Here's some fun facts though. Gardevoir was the first Pokemon I ever talked about and is the reason I started making these videos all the way back in 2023. What's even crazier is that when I made that video, she only had about 18,000. So it took her roughly 21 years to amass 18,000, and in the span of 2 years, it nearly doubled. Sounds kind of like the Indian population. But yeah, without these two, fairy types probably would have been down there with the ground and ice types. I also tweaked out about Sylveon on one of my Twitch streams.
You know what's crazy, chat? How you can look at an attractive black woman. Fine, elite build, sexiest, but people are still trying to jump off to the four-legged animal, dude.
Oh yeah, the lowest is Tinkatink with 4. You know, the baby rattle version of Tinkaton. Hope that makes you feel the same way I felt. Let's move on to the top 5. In 5th place, with 79,757 photos, we have the type that is dangerous, fighting types. Let's be honest, LeBron carried the hell out of this type once again, with 33,000. Blaziken is in a close second, with 8.5k. I genuinely don't know what else to say about fighting types, cause we already talked about Lucario, but they also have the highest lowest, like electric, cause of Flamigo, since it has 8 pieces. Let's get to the type I've been waiting for this whole video. The type I've been waiting for is keeping it a buck with you, Pookie. I won't even hold y'all. I've been working on this video for the last 2 weeks, and I've also been sick the last 2 weeks, which is why you hear so many voice cracks in that video. I still am sick. Respectfully, I'm tired of working on this video. And the craziest part is I'm using this as a way to circumvent the next 3 types, but I'm still gonna have to edit and add sound effects to the entire goddamn video. So, types 4 to 2, so 4, 3, and 2 are normal types, dark types, and psychic types. Oh my god, dude. And the numbers are gonna be 85,511, 94,393, and 110,435. All I was gonna do is talk about Lopunny, Zoroark, and Absol, and Gardevoir again. You guys aren't missing out on much. But now it's time to talk about the baddest type of all time. Fire types. Here we have it, people. The undisputed baddest type in Pokemon. See, even though fire types have the 7th most Pokemon in the game, it's a clear indicator that size doesn't always guarantee you the win, but the content of your character. The content of this character is the sheer amount of furry fire types, sitting with a massive 136,700 photos at the time of making this. If we were counting this list like I do in my normal Baddest videos, then numbers 11 through 14 would be a straight row of fire types, all having over 10,000 each. Like, in order to convey how many furry bait Pokemon there are, I'm just gonna go through every single one that has at least 1,000. Charizard, Braixen, Cinderace, Arcanine, Blaziken, Typhlosion, Flareon, Vulpix, Delphox, my beloved, Incineroar, Salazzle, Ninetales, Reshiram, Houndoom, Quilava, Charmeleon, Scorbunny, Charmander, Fennekin, Growlithe, Raboot, Salandit, Rapidash, Litten, and Infernape. And there are 97 fire types total, which quite literally means that every 1 in 4 fire types has over 1,000 pieces of art drawn of them, making fire types the gold medal winner. But yeah, this was a pretty long video, which took even longer to edit, I would presume. Hey editor Xeno, did this take a while? Yeah, it probably took a bit. There you have it though. Now you guys know which Pokemon type is mathematically the most bad. I do hope you guys found this video entertaining. It would mean a lot if you guys showed it some love and maybe left a comment down below with your thoughts. Make sure to like and subscribe if I made you laugh at all. I'll also be leaving the spreadsheet down below in case anyone would like to use it. Until next time though, cookies. Bye bye.
You should follow Xeno now.